The first episode of Lanterns came out last night, and in today's video, I will be giving a review on it. Now, if you have not watched Lanterns, I recommend you go watching it before watching this video, because I will be talking about spoilers. First of all, I just want to say this is all my opinion. I'm not saying this as fact. I do acknowledge that I am an outlier when it comes to my opinion on this pilot episode. So some of the pros of this pilot episode is that John and Hal's dynamic is very good. I really do like their dynamic. It really does give off the trainer and trainee type vibe, and Hal definitely does treat John as a substitute or potential replacement rather than an actual Lantern. I also do want to highlight Kyle Chandler and Aaron Pierre as Hal Jordan and John Stewart are great castings. Kyle as an older Hal is a really good casting, and Aaron Pierre as a young and up-and-coming John Stewart is also a great casting. And I also do want to highlight the constructs and the CGI from what we've seen so far. Wish you could have seen more, I'll get into that later. Was actually really good from what we've seen. Also, I do like the mystery aspect, you know, the detective aspect, but the part I do really dislike about this show, and it's involved with its main premise of the entire plot from what we've gotten so far, not just from the pilot, is it seems to be very Earth focused. And it seems like they're trying to make it feel very grounded, especially due to the fact that lanterns and their mythology are very fantastical and often very much centered around in space. I feel as though this true detective grounded story aspect could work for a plethora, many other characters, and it could work much better. I watched this episode with two of my friends, and one was trying to make the argument in its defense that it's trying to make this show accessible to people who are not superhero content watchers or people who don't want to watch superhero content, which I feel as though is a very dumb argument, purely because if you do not want to watch superhero content, then don't watch superhero content. You should not make a show that involves superheroes accessible to people who do not want to watch superhero content when it should be superhero content.
I'm not gonna lie, I probably could have worded that much better. What I meant was you shouldn't make a superhero show tailored to people who do not want to watch superhero shows.
Now, I do feel like the main plot points of this show could be much better if it was taking place on space instead, or in space. I think this mystery could work really well if they did this in space on multiple different planets. I've came up with this idea to how to make the show a little bit better. I know this is only the first episode. I'm not saying the show's gonna be terrible. I'm just saying the first episode wasn't my cup of tea. I didn't necessarily like it as a Lantern show. I think it could have been much better if they had this mystery with the Manhunters taking over the species, in this case humans, but in my storyline, which I think would be better, aliens on different planets in space. I think it could have been much better if that construct that came out of John's ring after, you know, Hal tried to kill him, was like a warning from Oa that one of the Green Lanterns died in their sector trying to defend from a Manhunter invasion, and then Hal was called up to aid that Lantern, or if he was died or you know, hurt, and help fight the colonization of the Manhunters. And I think this would be cool that the Manhunters are trying to, you know, eradicate forms of life in order to obtain order, my apologies, which is true to their character, and John and Hal are trying to stop that. In each episode there could be an overarching story where they go after these planets that multiple Manhunters are trying to colonize and take over, and attempts to bring order, or order in their sense, to the universe. And the Green Lantern Corps, mainly John and Hal, while Hal is trying to stop this, he also trains John. And I think it could have been much cooler since it is more of a space-focused story, which inherently Lanterns are. And it could have shown a lot of cool visuals, as space is very visually, you know, beautiful. And I think they could have definitely made the show feel very beautiful, and still keep that, you know, true detective aspect, in the sense that there's an overarching mystery on who is doing this, you know, who is taking over all these planets, and when it really is aliens, like Hal suspects in the first episode, but it is Manhunters taking over multiple other planets. And I think a cool way they could make this into Parallax or Rebirth, Hal and John and the Green Lantern Corps are struggling, you know, to manage the Manhunter colonization or them taking over other planets, so much that Hal fears that Coast City and Earth in its entirety will be taking over, and he becomes very fearful, which could lead into those storylines I mentioned beforehand.
It's Future Carter here, and I just wanted to add in a little bit of more detail into the storyline or another possible plot point they can go with in attempts to lead towards the Parallax storyline with Hal. Now, this isn't necessarily much different, but with Hal and John being assigned to stop the colonization and the evasion of the Manhunters on multiple different planets, let's say they are losing the battle, like I previously mentioned, or my Paso previously mentioned, and the Manhunters eventually reach Earth while Hal and John are in space fighting other Manhunters from invading another planet. And let's say Guy Gardner is not enough to protect Earth, and this leads to Coast City being destroyed and possibly a lot of other parts of Earth. And this could also bring in other characters associated with Hal or John, like Flash or, you know, other Justice League members to come together and stop this whole thing.
Now, that is just a big idea I have that would have made the show feel a little bit better, in my opinion. You know, maybe I'm wrong because a lot of critics are loving this show, which I'm very surprised for, honestly. But you know, honestly, it's very much a good thing, right? These critics loving the show are definitely bringing attention towards the DCU, and it's definitely going to help the DCU grow and flourish as a universe. So even though I don't necessarily like it, I'm very happy that it's succeeding and it's getting a lot of great reviews, critically and fan-based. Also, one other idea I could have had if they didn't, because like I said, Lanterns is inherently fantastical and very space involved, and this seems very Earth focused. I think a show with the same premise, True Detective Mystery, could have worked with a Jim Gordon / GCPD show where it takes place in the past and shows Jim Gordon dealing with this mystery killer, you know, kind of like Long Halloween, mystery killer in Gotham. It shows the GCPD, because people are very excited for Batman to come to the DCU, obviously, because it's supposed to be very fantastical, rather than the consistently grounded adaptations we have gotten with all of our previous live-action Batmans. Other than, I guess, Ben Affleck wasn't that grounded. He was just a very terrible adaptation of the character. And I think that could tie into Batman in this universe and show Batman in his earlier years. You know, this could also take inspiration for Batman Year One. Batman Year One feels just as much as a Jim Gordon book as it does a Batman book. You know, it shows Jim Gordon transferring to GCPD, and I think that could be an interesting, you know, show if you wanted to do a mystery True Detective show. But off topic there, that's maybe for another video. Another problem I have with it didn't give off that Lantern vibe. It didn't really feel like a Green Lantern show at all. And I feel like they're trying to go for this, you know, rugged, gray take on Lanterns and their mythology, which I feel like is a terrible, terrible character choice to do if you're trying to give that gray, rugged look. Because Lanterns is bright, colorful, fantastical, and I just feel like that's a bad direction for the setting of the show. Now, the Manhunter, or I guess you could say alien storyline, because you don't know for sure it's Manhunters, which I'm 90% sure it is. The alien storyline was pretty interesting, but I feel like it was kind of slow-paced. But that's okay. You know, it's a pilot episode. That's okay with me. But, you know, just kind of a... And dogs barking. Shut up! Now to talk about the ending with the 2026 timeline, where Hal is dead, got a bullet in his head. Wait, okay, that was kind of bars. Okay, all right, but I'm kind of confused. I don't think he's for sure dead. I don't think he's dead in that part of the timeline. I don't think he's dead in 2026. I don't think so. I think it is likely we might get to see Parallax and Rebirth, but yeah, I don't think he's like officially dead. Hopefully not. That would be terrible. But I do think, you know, since the whole premise of the episode was, and possibly the whole show was aliens, manhunters, whatever, disguising themselves as humans, they could take the form of a human. I think it is very probable and likely that Hal we saw dead could be an alien. Now, I don't necessarily have a probable theory of why this is to be the case, but it did honestly hook me for episode 2, which I'm pretty excited for. I'm really excited for. I'll be real with you. I'm really excited for it. Even though I didn't necessarily love the first episode, I'm pretty excited for it. That is to wrap things up. I will be giving my rating. In 3, 2, 1, comment down below what you think my rating is. But my rating is of the episode is, we'll go 6.75. Not bad. Okay, people hear 6 and they're like, that's terrible. It's not bad at all. It's not bad at all. 6 is actually pretty solid. I would say it's solid. It's not good or great, but it's solid. But I still have high hopes for the show in its entirety. I'm really excited for them to explore the Lantern mythology. I just don't necessarily like the way they're doing it so far. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on the post notification bell, and don't forget to follow my TikTok, which will be right here. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Peace.